The Guardians entered Labor Day weekend with two crucial series on the schedule in front of them. Unfortunately for the Guardians, what they've done all year is take one step forward and two steps back, and they're no longer just facing teams on the schedule in front of them.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into an episode of Locked On Guardians, where it is our favorite half hour of the day, win, lose, and no draws in baseball, but it's still our favorite half hour no matter what happens. We hope it is yours too, because we're breaking down the Cleveland Guardians for the next half hour, from the majors to the minors and the draft and everything in between. We do it here every day on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team, your Cleveland Guardians every day. I'm Justin Lada, been here since October 2022 with my friend and co-host Jeff Ellis, and I've been covering the Guardians minor league system, providing scouting reports and analysis since 2007.
I have been here at Locked On, as you said, Jeff Ellis, for 6 years, since Locked On decided to expand into baseball. One of the first people that brought in. Before that, I was a national writer at Scouting 24/7, focused on prospects in the draft. Give a shout out to Justin's newsletter again. If you want every little bit of information on the minors, that'll have you covered. As well as wanting to say, we want to thank you for making today's episode your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. Shout out to all of our everydayers, people sticking with us. For the highs of the rally dyno to the lows of, an offense where over the last 30 days, Nolan Jones has been there, the second best hitter. That's where we are as a team. So we've got a lot to talk about. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, where the rally dyno is it in retirement after this weekend, after Sunday and Monday?
I don't think it is. Come on, we had
Okay.
two fun
All right.
games. We've had worse stretches than this. We'll see.
Sure, for sure. On today's episode, we'll talk about the roster situation and why it is a jumbled mess of confusion right now with September call-ups, despite the fact you only called two players. Now, we'll talk about manager ejections and what that really does, if it really means anything, after the Guardians had two kind of rough replay calls over the weekend. But, of course, we'll start out with the Mariners series, which they did win, and the Red Sox game one of that series, which they lost. But unfortunately, losing games, they're not going to lose a game in the standings in the wild card from Monday on Labor Day, but they are losing and running out of time, of course, too. Before we get going, today's episode of Locked On Guardians brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now. It was a fun weekend. I'll say that to start off with. It was a lot of fun. I was at the game Friday, and shout out to Stephen, who gave me a bunch of dollar dogs. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate that. And they honored the 95 team. They had a big comeback. Logan Allen had a terrible first inning, and he was great after that. The bullpen was great. Jacob Junis had a great game. The defense was stellar. The crowd was great. The comeback was a lot of fun. It was a really great way to honor the 95 team. I tweeted that after Logan Allen's first inning that he was just setting them up for a great comeback, because that's what they do against the Mariners. It would be a great way to honor the 95 team. And lo and behold, they came back and won that game. And then Saturday, they played well, too. They played some really good, crisp, clean baseball. They pitched well outside of the first inning from Logan Allen. Gavin was great. The offense did just enough. Kyle Manzardo, Nolan Jones have been kind of the heroes. Stephen Vogt had a bit of a better weekend. And they played okay Sunday. Not great. They played okay. It's kind of hard to say they played okay when they had two hits, but they had a chance to win that game, and they didn't. I guess they had chances on Monday as well for Labor Day, but I don't know any more with this team. The way
They had
we're
a better
at this
chance
season,
on Monday than Sunday, I actually feel like.
Agreed, because they hit the ball more. And
Yeah.
the problem with playing at Fenway Park is weird things happen because of the ballpark, and you can never score enough runs there because just weird things happen there. But any more with this team, I know they won the series on Saturday against the Mariners, but we're running out of time. And that was a game you couldn't afford to lose. The Red Sox, you're not really chasing the Red Sox because you're not catching the second wild card. You're hoping to get the last wild card at this point. But they're running out of time on the schedule, too. They're going to be 4 games out. The Mariners are getting blasted on Monday night, so I don't think they'll lose a game there. But it just kind of feels like every time this team looks like they're taking a step forward, they take a couple steps back. Just things happen where they don't pitch well, or they don't hit enough, or they make a weird defensive play, or they just don't have good enough at bats. Or the bullpen blows up. There's just something about this team this year that every time they start to feel good, look good, they take a couple steps back, and you're like, okay, they can't sustain any momentum this year. It's just what it feels like.
Well, this month we know why that's the case. It's because during this last 30 days, if you're looking at this team, Jose Ramirez has been their 5th best hitter and is having one of the worst months of his career. We've talked about Stephen Kwan and his issues. I mean, he's got a sub 600 OPS over the last 30 days. CJ Kayfus was a great story when he came up, but the league has reacted, and we'll see how he reacts back. But right now, I mean, Kyle Manzardo is the only hitter on this team with an OPS over 700 over the last 30 days. Like I mentioned, Nolan Jones is number 2 at a 637, then Rocchio. And if you're curious, Jose is at 631. And then you have to come all the way down to a 559 for Stephen Kwan. So why are they taking, we have a good run, and then it's when Kwan and Jose are hitting like below replacement level hitters, you're going to have this. This is just the way of it. Doesn't matter how. And the problem is the rest of the team doesn't have, Manzardo's having a good second half. He has his ups and his downs. A lot of it is 100% power driven, but he's doing enough. The rest of the team, not so much. So why are they going backwards and forwards? Well, to me, it's 2 big things. One, the offense is, your stars aren't playing like stars, and 2, the bullpen. Because of what happened with Class A, it's like I texted you on Sunday. I'm like, when Matt Festa came in, it's like this is where Class A kills you, because a year ago Smith would have came in that situation instead of Festa, and who knows, maybe that game goes into extras and they do manage to pull it off. If you have, we'll probably in this offseason have debates if Festa should be kept on the 40-man roster or not. Like he's the guy going to your high leverage situations. So yeah, you would have liked to have seen Tanner keep it going. It seems like he has one bad inning every game. They go up 2-0, and then immediately the next inning he gives it up. His command has just not been there this year. Messick was not strong today. Let's be very honest with that. He gave it up as well. So with the offense being where it is, you can't have the starters having those meh or worse games, and then the bullpen also not doing their job. And, it's kind of a complete collapse in those games. Let's be very honest, at least the way I look at it. And they were not, we talked about on Friday. I didn't look at the comments. I was almost afraid to see what the comments would look like, to see how people felt about us, talking about why this team is kind of lucky to even be 500. And, it's even that little thing, like, heck, on Sunday, if Gabby Arias wasn't hurt, he definitely gets Julio with the strength of his arm. Like it's these little things that just, you're like, okay, it doesn't even have to be a review. If you have Gabby's strong arm in there in that situation, he's out. And, it's
you still got to score the 3rd run, but yeah.
You do. And who knows? I mean, maybe they get to it. Like I said, maybe they go to extras and they get to it there. As with as leaky as the Mariners bullpen is, you want to extend the game as much as you can. But yeah, it's little things here and there. And when it's a team that already has, the suspension that has kind of decimated the bullpen, we talked about, just knocks everyone out of place. The starters having some inconsistency as you have young guys, the offense isn't working. Then you can't afford the little things like losing your, all-world defender, top shelf arm shortstop. Even if the guy can't hit, he's bringing value defensively more than Schneemann hasn't hit in the last month. Martinez and Schneemann are hitting worse than him. Than Arias. So it's that situation where at least you have the defensive advantage if he's in. But it's all these little things, and they're just keep being more and more little things. And, again, I look at this team and I'm just like, it's kind of a miracle that they are a 500 team right now, or a little bit better than.
It is, because I was thinking back to last year. Like, you could hang your hat on. Like, when you talk about the Guardians last year, it was, what do they fall back on? What can you count on from them each game or each series? It's, if they get a lead, the bullpen's going to lock it down. They're going to have the game on lock after the 6th inning or so, and they're going to play good defense. They were a great defensive team a year ago. This year, I don't know what you can sit here and say, like point to the team and say, this is the one thing they do really well, that no matter what happens, this is what the team can fall back on. And I just don't see a place on this team. It's not starting pitching. It's not the bullpen this year, and it's certainly not the offense. There's not one facet of this team or one thing where you're like, this is, they don't run the bases well. They don't walk a ton. They don't have power. Like, there's not one specific thing this team does well that they can always fall back on, come heck or high water, that if things go bad. I think that's the problem, is they don't really have an identity. They never really developed it. We thought it was going to be patience and all that kind of stuff, and it just was not. So that's kind of where they are. It's kind of a floating rock, as it were. All right. Guardians had some 2 calls go against them over the Labor Day weekend that maybe could have gone the other way. We'll talk about whether or not Stephen Vogt should have been more fired up about that on today's Lockdown Guardians.
But first, this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app, where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 stat player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prize money. I always like how sometimes they give you freebies. Like they'll give you one. I always bring up LeBron James. Will he score more than 2 points in a game? I think that's going to happen. Will Patrick Mahomes throw for more than 4 yards? Then all of a sudden, instead of just picking one category, it's like, or picking 2 categories, you just got to pick one for your payout. And again, it's as simple as more or less. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right.
Folks, the NFL season is right around the corner. You can almost taste it. FanDuel, making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. I've never seen an offer this good for FanDuel. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5 and your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets. I've seen $200. I've seen $250. I've never seen $300 from FanDuel. And it really can help you out a lot of ways. If you're smart, responsible, want to have fun, this can take the sting out of watching the Browns every Sunday lose. You can go out and build some same-game parlays, jump in on live action as it unfolds, kind of keep up with the trends, all that kind of fun stuff. And it makes every game more exciting. So get out there, be responsible, add a little bit more energy to your Sundays. Don't let the Browns get you down. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. To get started, that's FanDuel.com, your place for your first $5 bet. All right, Locked On Guardians listeners, we've got a note for you. The Locked On Network wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about you, the listener, and how to make your favorite podcast, including this one, better. This is your chance to tell us what you do like, what you don't like. It's going to help you answer some questions about our advertisers. So you're going to want to go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Anybody who completes this survey is going to be entered into a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that is lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in your show notes as well. Thank you for helping us out, and thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen and a better podcast as well. All right, Jeff, I had a lot of texts and a lot of messages to the Insiders group as well. If you want to get on the Insiders group and text us during the game, you can sign up at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGuardians. Our Insiders also got the news that George Valera was coming up before it was announced, as well as chatting with us about the game that was very frustrating on Monday and Sunday for that matter. But one thing I kept hearing from our Insiders and other friends and social media really, Jeff, was that they wanted to see Stephen Vogt get fired up. I thought it was close. And I know we were sitting there saying last segment about how, if Gabby Arias is playing, that throw at first base gets Julio Rodriguez, and we don't have to worry about this. It was not a good throw anyway. I think a better throw gets him, but also a better arm like Gabby Arias doesn't even make that close. But it looked like he was out. It was razor thin, but I think he was out. As for the home run on Monday at Fenway Park, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like a rare occurrence. The ball just bounced between his glove and the pole, and first it was a foul ball, and we thought it was a ground rule double, and then it was a home run. And the only thing I really have to get upset about, like Stephen Vogt says it was the right call. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I agree with everything Stephen Vogt says post game, because I don't. But if he thinks it's a home run, and they explain it to him that way, that's good enough for me. That's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and argue with that. Like, if he thinks it's a home run, it's a home run, whatever. But the fact that the Red Sox had, I think, like at least 2 minutes, it seemed like 2 minutes. It seemed like you're supposed to only get 15 seconds between the play and your decision to call for replay. And he definitely took more than 15 seconds. So what I would have been fired up about if I was Stephen Vogt was, why did Alex Cora get extra time to call for that replay? Is it because the umpires were going through and talking about the call? I don't really know. That's the thing that should have really ticked them off. But I see a lot of people saying they wanted Stephen Vogt to show more emotion, get the team fired up, get mad about some of these calls not going their way. What do you think? Does a manager ejection do something for you? Does it do something for the roster? And feel free to add your thoughts in the comments as well. What does a ejection of a manager really do for your team or for just you as a fan?
One thing I would be curious about is the number of people who are complaining about this who were upset about Tanner showing emotion. Like, I'm curious what the cross section is like on these. And I will say, like, I think there is something you said for a team that looks a bit listless at points for having, and I think that's what most people would argue about here. It's like, it's a listless team. You know, it'd be nice for Vogt to you know, he's a little too Corey Kluber-esque. I can count on one hand the number of times in 2 years I feel like I've seen any emotion on him. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you do when things are going against you. I agree. I think to a degree, it does, you know, fires up the fans. I think it'd fire up the clubhouse. I think it'd be good for a degree of morale. I mean, you got Tanner kind of trying to do it internally because someone isn't stepping up and doing it. Like, you know, do we think Tanner had his outburst because he doesn't, you know, in Tanner then walked it back. It's like, yeah, that was the wrong place. And I appreciate that, you know, he showed that maturity, but it's like, at some point it'd be nice for Vogt to like get up there. And it's like, these are razor thin calls that are having dramatic effects on these games. And you can't just be, oh, okay. Like, it's a job where sometimes your job is to go up there, even when you know you are wrong, and to see if you can get a little fire going. Because right now there is no fire on this team. Like, let's be honest. Like, they're playing hard, but I don't see fire. Like, I see, you know, I don't see a team that's quit, but I also don't see a team that's like really believes in themselves and thinks they're going to go out and win every game. Like, they just seem to kind of go about their business to a degree. And I think there is a degree of like, you know, it wouldn't be the worst thing for Vogt to get ejected.
I do think the season has kind of wore on them. And I know I've seen people say too, well, this team quits and they don't care. I don't agree with that at all. I
disagree.
I don't see or hear anything that makes me think this team has given up at all. I think it's just been a very frustrating season for everybody because of how it's gone. Because internally, whether you want to believe it or not, they feel like the team they were a year ago is still in there, and every season's different. But a lot of these guys are back, except for a couple key pieces. I mean, I know it is a couple key pieces like Boyd and Naylor and all that stuff, but I just think these guys expected that of themselves. So it wears on you. I mean, I think outside of baseball, we all feel that too when you're doing your job and it's not going the way you want. It's easy to fall into that trap and feel frustrated. I didn't play at a high enough level to really understand this myself, and I'm going to trust people who have been around the game to tell me this, what it feels like. And I think I've been around enough players, talked to enough players, and I do think, like, it's the same thing as trying to measure, like, you know, we try to sit here and quantify how much does a manager mean to a team, right? Like, who's manager of the year, or even things like clutch hits, right? Like, those are things that you can't quantify and we don't believe in or not believe in, but you know what I mean? It's very anecdotal evidence. But I do think there's a degree of the players getting behind you and feeling like, okay, the manager's got our back, and it fires them up. I mean, a lot of I will say this outside of baseball. I can't speak for it inside baseball, but as a team, on anything you do in life, I think leadership is reflected in what your team does. So, I mean, you want to be careful for Vogt to not get frustrated outside of the game, that kind of stuff. I think he could fire the dugout up a little bit. Would it have helped them win on Monday? I don't necessarily think so, the way things were going. But I think you're right. This team could use a little boost of energy. And I think that's one of the things you learn as a manager, too. When's the right time to pick your battles? When's the right time to say something to your team? Or when's the right time to send a message, whether it's getting ejected or whatever else? Those are things you learn. And look, Stephen Vogt, I think he got ejected last year. I don't think he's been ejected this year.
I think he just has that one time.
Yeah, and last year he didn't really have a whole lot of reasons to get ejected, right? Because the team was playing great. Everything went well. And that's one of the things this year he's got to learn. He's also, like, you know, Tanner Bybee is going through a lot of adversity this year, and he's trying to learn to deal with it. And that outburst, like, it happened, and you're right, he had to walk it back and talk about how it could have been handled better. Stephen Vogt has a little more maturity under his belt in terms of baseball and life, so he's not going to have that during the game. But he's still learning in terms of on the field. And I think maybe the ejection piece of it is like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to really work, but like you said, it couldn't hurt. I think it's definitely something that could have helped them. At the very worst, it wasn't going to make it worse.
No, I agree. Like, it's just a situation where try to find ways to give this team some spark. I talked about it again. Like, their offense is atrocious. The starting pitching's been solid. The bullpen up and down. Try anything you can to help your team get a spark. Like, they're still in the hunt. Like, the odds don't look good, but they're still in the hunt. Like,
you're trying to keep these games as meaningful as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree at this point. You're trying to get everybody going the same direction, and it's challenging because it's been a challenging season. It's been a learning season for everybody. We're trying to figure out, Jeff, what is going on with this roster in September? We've got some strange call-ups. We've got some strange roster machinations. We're going to try to figure it out next on today's Locked On Guardians.
But first, hey, Guardians fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. I'm going to do it for that alone. You could make up to $300 a year from buying the gas you already need. At first, I thought this was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon or any other brands. Don't let this offer pass you by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Disclaimer, offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
All right, shout out to all the everydayers. Whether it's your first time here or an everydayer, we appreciate you being here. And if it is your first time and you're not auto-downloading this podcast on audio, make sure you're doing that so you always get the episodes right into your feed. You never miss it. And hit the bell on YouTube so you can get videos sent right to your phone, whether that's episodes, get post-game reactions, breaking news videos, and the MLB Squad Show, which I don't believe we'll have this week, but we should be returning the following week for that too. So lots of goodies out there for you to get in on if you just are subscribing to Locked On Guardians. We appreciate it. My mind is literally blown right now. I think I would get ejected from the clubhouse. I think just asking about what is happening with the state of the Guardians roster right now. So they call up George Valera, and that's fine.
I think he's overcome a lot to get that promotion.
Yeah, and it's all about timing too. Because if I'm being honest, this is no disrespect to George Valera, but if I'm being honest, this goes for CJ Kayfus as well. If, I know this is a big if, Chase DeLauder's healthy, he's up. If Juan Burrito's healthy, he is up. Or maybe he's replacing somebody on the roster. They can't both be up because they're going to call a pitcher up. But none of those guys are healthy. Valera happens to be healthy at the right time. He's been doing okay in AAA. I wouldn't say great. I know a lot of people are going to look at the stat line and say it was doing great, but really it was that cycle that really has skewed a very small sample size. That doesn't matter, though. He has earned it, and he's healthy at the right time. That's no disrespect to him saying that he shouldn't be here. That's just the way it is, and sometimes life is all about timing. But what I can't understand is you've got Valera up, and you've got Noel, and you've got Fry, and you've got Martinez. I know Arias is hurt right now, but it's like who's playing every day, and how are you getting everybody at bats? Like, if you want to call up Noel, that's fine. If you want him to be like a pinch hitter or something, I know you're going to say, well, Noel does nothing, so he can't pinch hit. And to be fair, his 2 at bats in Boston on Monday were horrendous. He saw 2 pitches, took 2 swings, made 2 outs because that's who Giancarlo Noel unfortunately is. But Nolan Jones is playing better, so unfortunately, I saw some people who are mad that he's been hitting home runs because now they're like, great, now he's going to be here the rest of the year. Great, I'll probably be back next year. I think that's hilarious that we're rooting against the team so a guy we don't like can get let go. And I don't know if he's going to sustain this. It's the first time all year he's sustained any sort of positive momentum, I would say, outside of walking early in the year. But I don't know who plays every day and how you get the guys the at-bats. Because I'm sorry, I know CJ Kayfus has struggled. He's up for a reason. He has to play every day. You have to get him comfortable and ready to have him have a big role on this team next year, or figure out if he needs to go back to AAA and work on things. And you're not going to figure that out when he gets 2 at-bats a game. Same with Kyle Manzardo. Thankfully, he is playing mostly every day. But why call up George Valera to DH and then pinch hit for him a couple innings later? You got to get every day at-bats for Manzardo. You got to get every day at-bats for Kayfus. Nolan Jones is playing well, so he's got to play a lot too, if not every day. So then that leaves what? Fry, Noel, Martinez, Valera, Schneemann, all to split at bats somewhere else. And I just cannot figure out where it's all coming from. That might be the biggest problem for the Guardians this year, is that their roster from an offensive side of things has never made sense. There's not a puzzle here that fits. There are just so many random pieces thrown together. I just have not understood since day one how they fit. And now that September's here and the guys who are healthy or who are healthy and playing, I don't understand how they fit and how you make use of them right now. I just don't.
Well, I think the key word to start off with is health, right? Like the health of this team has been one of those things where, it was Juan Brito was supposed to be the second baseman. Gabby Arias was not supposed to win that job. And then Brito had a really awful spring and it opened the door and Gabby did well enough. And then he kind of took it with two hands and ran with it. And Rocchio struggled and he took over shortstop and became such a plus defender there that he really kind of ran with that position. But, this was supposed to be DeLauder and Brito's year. And that's two big parts of this offense that, aren't here. And, I'm going to, again, go back to the last 30 days. Worst hitter on this team, David Fry. And that's him playing in his advantageous situation against mostly lefties. 35 at-bats, a 413 OPS, 114, 184, 229. David Fry shouldn't be on this roster right now. Like, let him get regular at-bats in AAA, but him playing on this roster. If you're going to call up Noel, you don't need Noel and Fry. Let's be real honest about that. You don't need Noel and Fry. So if you're going to have Noel up, then David Fry should be down in AAA because right now he's not doing anything for your team. He can't play the field and he can't hit. And, he let him get his rhythm back down there and find some success. Barely better than him is Angel Martinez at a 423, 145, 197, 226. We're seeing less of Angel because
his approach is just terrible.
Yeah. And he's essentially in a platoon with Schneemann right now at second base or, points in the outfield. I agree with you, though. It's like right now, Nolan Jones should pretty much be your everyday center fielder. If you want to do Nolan Jones and Angel's a platoon in center field, fine. That makes sense. Right field, Kayfus, DH Manzardo, or first base Kayfus, DH Manzardo is honestly how I'd go because that's what you're going to do next year. Like, let's just run out the lineup the way it needs to be, flip-flop them on off days. And then right field, pinch hitting for Valera is a sure sign. Like, this is more a reward than it is. He may not. I think there's a good chance he gets taken off the 40-man in the offseason. I got to be real honest. I don't think this is a sign him up for him to stay just because of the situation they're approaching. We'll have to talk about that at a later date.
They're showcasing him. They're showcasing. I've always said my favorite word is showcasing, right? I love showcases. So they're showcasing him.
I think it's just a reward for a guy who's overcome a lot. But to move past that, it's, let him play. You can have him playing out there. You can have Noel play. Like I said, you can have, if you're going to have Manzardo and Kayfus play every day, then hey, right field can be Noel versus lefties and Valera versus
that works
righties.
Really well to start the year, by the way.
I mean, here's the thing. People keep bringing it up. I got to bring this up again. Nolan Jones from August of last year until he got sent down was the worst hitter in baseball. Literally the worst hitter in baseball by statistics. Like, it just, the approach doesn't work at this level. Fine, he's up. I want to be wrong. I really wish. I wish he could make me. I wish he could make me shut up. Like, I wish Noel could prove me wrong. I would love it. But like at this point in time, like, it's just weird from the fact, like, okay, so Noel and Fry are kind of redundant, and then Valera, fine, reward the guy, but then they still, especially with Gabby being hurt, it's like they need an infielder. And I know the object, it's to keep up Will Wilson or not keep up Will Wilson, basically. And it's like, that doesn't feel like a great situation either. I'm like, can we give, like, who's in AAA who deserves a reward? Like, it's Cairo. Is it Tolentino?
Cairo?
Who's the guy you give? Who's the guy you give like a 1 month reward for, and then you don't, you let him go from the roster? It's like,
I think it's Cairo, probably.
Yeah. Then give it to Cairo and move on. But like, I agree. It's a weird way to have your roster shaped up, and like I said, I would be a lot better if either pick one, Noel or Fry, and the other one goes. Like, again, I mean, at this point in time, like, you can't even guarantee. As we reading about Paul Molitor today, who was the first player really known to have had Tommy John as a hitter, and it's like it's been a lot of really good hitters, but none of them were this bad. Like, the degree of bad of David Fry is like exceptional. Like, I worry, like, he should start next year in AAA until he proves that, yeah, it's just the injury. Because right now he's awful. Like, he has no way to contribute. Like, it's a weird situation.
Getting very close to Brian LaHare territory is what you're saying. I don't like that either. Yeah. I mean, we know he's going to be here next year no matter what. They really love him and they value the versatility defensively. And you do have to get him figured out. If he's going to have a spot on this roster, we talked about this before, he's got to figure out getting back to hitting lefties at the very least, in addition to the defensive thing. But I think you touch on something really important that I wish we had more time to flesh out. But I think you touch on the point that, like, you run out the 2026 lineup. Well, that's the problem. You're kind of serving two masters. Every year we go through this. The Guardians are trying to thread the needle. We're trying to develop while we're trying to compete in the AL Central. And then this is what you get sometimes. Sometimes you get 2022. Sometimes you get 2023. Sometimes you get 2023, I feel like they were going for it, but they were still pretty young. But sometimes you get 24. And then sometimes you get 25, where you're still trying to develop some of these young players, like a Manzardo and whoever else, you know what I mean? Like, you're still trying to develop some of these guys. And the Rocchios, the Ariases, even though they have a lot of experience in terms of a year now, you're still young. You're still a young team in terms of years served. You got Martinez playing every day, and you get to a point in September where you're on the fringes. Like, you're 4 games out of a wild card spot, so technically you're in it. A couple games here or there could swing you into a playoff spot, but a couple games the other way swings you way out of it, and then you're pretty much done for the year. So it's like, are you trying to build towards next year? Are you still trying to win towards this year? That's the part. It's the Guardians continue to be stuck in the middle on. And when I get it, every year we do this, but when you get to September and you're not really gaining momentum towards anything, the momentum you should be chasing is 2026 and not.
But who could they add? Like,
I'm not saying add.
I'm
not saying add. I'm saying who gets the playing time. It's the playing time of who needs the reps, who needs the experience for 2026. Is it David Fry? Is it John Noel? Is it Nolan Jones? It's CJ Kayfus and Kyle Manzardo, and then you could kind of figure out the rest from there. But those two guys, and if Valera is going to be up, let him be up and play. My God, like you said, it's very telling. They pinch it for him right away. That it's more of a pat on the back, like, good job for persevering, which is great. I don't have a problem with that. But we ask them to pick a lane, and they don't for the whole season. But when you get to September, you kind of have to pick a lane if you're not in contention. I don't know. That's the problem.
I kind of disagree. Just I feel like they didn't have the pieces to pick a lane this year. Like, the guys who are going to be up.
But at this point in the season, you should be playing towards 2026. Let's be honest, right?
But the guys who you expect for early 2026 are the guys who are up. Like, there's not really.
Right, so stop pinch hitting for CJ Kayfus.
Well, I agree. Like, yes, I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. Play the lineup that you're going to potentially roll out in 2026. That's what I'm saying. All right, tomorrow's show: Guardians Red Sox Game 2. Garrett Crochet, the team that can't hit lefties versus one of the best lefties in baseball. Surely that will go great. Probably will, based on that. And what lies ahead with the ramifications of the Clase A Ortiz situation, as they are now out indefinitely again.
Thank you for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily. You know the spiel. Thank you all, and go Guardians, go.